It's time for To The Last Drop podcast with Liam Delcalm and Brenden Nell.
Right, Brendan, it is the final round of matches in the EPCR, in the Challenge Cup, as well as the Champions Cup. There's obviously a lot at stake. We have to look at, obviously, previous form in this competition, but also there will be a level of desperation now as teams jockey for positions. Let's start with the Champions Cup.
Yeah, I think the one thing to mention is I know there's a lot of criticism of the format and it's not perfect. And I've said it in the past, but when you look at the way it's turned out, there's something to play for everybody in each week, and I think that's great.
Yeah, there's little margin for error. I mean, you can maybe slip up. I think in the case of La Rochelle, they obviously slipped up twice. There's a number of teams that have slipped up twice, but then there is a chance for redemption. I mean, you can play yourself. You won't get a great seeding going further, but if you're good enough, you can manufacture a win away from home in the last 16 and maybe even the quarterfinals. So yeah, there's a lot still to play for.
And there is, especially now, there's some intriguing games, and I think if you look at the last round that we had this past weekend, some of the form of the big teams, the Toulouse, La Rochelle, Leinster, although Leinster played a second string start, has been really on form. And I suppose you shouldn't really say the surprise for me. The team that impressed me most was the 50-point hammering that Bordeaux gave for Saracens, which I must admit, I expected them to win. I didn't expect them to win by 50. So,
yeah, things obviously not all well at Saracens. I mean, I suppose they are potential player defections and so on. That might be a distraction, but yeah.
Are you talking about one particular player? Because it seems just there's one player that wants to go, but a certain player that gets talked about around a lot around Saracens. I'm not sure what his name is, but he's pretty much their marquee player that's going to France.
Well, some people might say he can be a pain in the neck depending on how he tackles, but yeah.
Well, okay, let's leave it there because we're not going to go into that. We're talking predictions, and we start on Friday night. Big one, Glasgow and Toulon. That's your opening one. I'm just going to get the tables up here while we speak. Glasgow and Toulon. Glasgow, of course, losing out there. Toulon have basically got almost no chance of well, they still have technically a chance.
Yeah.
But Glasgow, were horrifically denied there against Exeter with that horrible finish there. But I think they could there.
Yeah, we're not going to dwell on that, but yeah, I suppose Glasgow's form in this competition not as compelling as it is in the URC, but they should have the beating of Toulon, and I think I'll give them by a good 12 points at least.
Yeah, and then the next Friday night game is Connacht Bristol. A difficult one because both teams haven't been great, but unfortunately, I say unfortunately that in that somebody's going to come fourth in that pool one, and Bristol and Saracens are neck and neck. Connacht are one, so technically Connacht could probably, if Saracens and Bristol lose, if they beat Bristol, obviously, and Saracens
absolutely
they can get in there. But
before I looked at the log, I thought Connacht were out, but they're not. They still.
It's time for To The Last Drop podcast with Liam Delcalm and Brenden Nell.
They actually have a lot to play for. So a bonus point win for them at home, and obviously then denying Bristol Bears will see them through. So while I might have gone Bristol Bears, with Connacht still having a chance of going through, I'm going to go them by with 8 points.
Well, I mean, Saracens could probably still get through if they get two points, then they'll be through as well. So I mean, it's a bit of an intriguing one. Not really one we're going to focus on too much, but yeah, it's almost like the bottom of the log scraping in at the back there. Don't think those teams are going to trouble anybody further in the competition. But technically, they both can get there, and I suppose that's good. Then we move on to Saturday, Pool 2, interesting one. Harlequins against Ulster. And just looking at the log, Harlequins are third, Ulster are fourth. Also a situation where Racing and Cardiff who play each other, which we'll talk about now. Could also sneak in there if Ulster lose, but Harlequins have already qualified, so it'd be interesting to see what side they put up.
Yeah, I'm going to go Harlequins regardless, and I think they'll probably win by slightly more than a goal. In other words, we're looking 8-9 points.
Yeah, we were talking last week about Ulster and facing Toulouse and that, and I mean I think it was something like 30-0 after 28 minutes there in Belfast. I think the scars of that loss to Toulouse is probably still going to run a bit deep for Ulster, and they certainly don't look again like a side that's going to trouble anyone further in the competition.
Yeah. Look, there's no disgrace in losing to Toulouse at home, but if you look at the margin by which they lost, then yeah, there may are some questions.
And then the big one, Loftus Versfeld, 3:00 Saturday, Bordeaux Beglers against the Bulls. And I'm hearing rumors that Bordeaux are bringing the first choice team out. They packed with the likes of Jalibert, Benoit, all of them are coming out to South Africa. And Jake said this morning to us when we met him for his interview, he said, Madosh Tambwe has asked for tickets. So he's obviously going to be playing unless he's going to sit in the stands with his family. So I expect him to be playing as well. So and we're probably going to see a lot of the South Africans in the teams. The Carl Sadis probably also brought in as well for this game. And that's going to be an interesting one because Bordeaux in a tricky position. The Bulls have to win. If the Bulls get 1 point, they qualified. But obviously you want a better seeding. But Bordeaux in a tricky position because if Lyon win against Saracens, and Bordeaux lose against the Bulls, they drop to third. So their 3 big wins in the pool then count almost for nothing.
Yeah.
So they have to go all guns firing.
And also,
like I said, that's going to make a very interesting.
We should probably remind people as well that. Yeah, we should also probably remind people the better, the harder you finish, the better your draw come last round of 16. So in that sense, Bordeaux obviously felt that okay, they're not entirely safe. But then also, in terms of that final log position, better to be on the safe side. So it's interesting that they are bringing all their heavyweights. So I think regardless, I think Bulls for me still are favourites at home. It will take some effort. Whoever's going to upstage them at Loftus, especially a team coming from Europe. So for me, Bulls still by double digits.
Well, no teams come within 10 points of Bulls at Loftus from Europe. So, but they certainly are classy outfit, Bordeaux. So be interesting. But for them to arrive on a Wednesday at altitude, and Pretoria is going to probably be about 28, 29 degrees on Saturday, that will make it difficult for them. All those factors, but they are a classy side. It's just interesting. You mentioned the format. Maybe we should just explain to people how the format for the draw works, because there was some debate about it this morning when we had Loftus about it. So the teams, the 4 pools, 4 sides go through. The fifth sides that end up fifth in the 4 pools drop to the Challenge Cup. The sides that end 6th are just automatically out. So those top 4 sides then get seeded. So what you have is on points, pool A, B, C, D. They take the top sides that finish, and they get ranked 1 to 4 by points, and then the same. The second sides in those pools get ranked by the points that they've earned as well, 5 to 8, and then 9 to 12, and 13 to 16. And then obviously 1 against 16, 2 against 15, and that's how it goes on. So where you finish is extremely important in this competition. And that's going to make a huge factor as well. So the Bulls know if they get a good win, they get 5 points out of this. They could easily get themselves a home game for that round of 16. And that's going to be quite interesting. So,
well, the interesting thing, apart from that, also is if they maintain, if the Bulls and the Stormers maintain their current positions, they potentially on a collision course.
Yeah, but I mean, I think after this weekend, that's sort of blown out the water, because the other one, we all saw that graphic that was going around on social media that said that the other one that was there would be Leinster, facing La Rochelle, and you can easily see a scenario where Leinster beat them at La Rochelle in a pool game, and La Rochelle would storm back and win a knockout game.
Yeah,
go there. So I think everybody's quite happy that thing. It created a bit of debate, but I think it's going to look very different after this weekend. Okay, next team, Leicester against Leinster. Interesting, very interesting one. If I look at again, looking at the logs, Leicester against Leinster in that pool 4, Leicester are third with 9 points, and Leinster are already qualified with 14. So Leinster is probably going to put out a second team. But Leicester definitely need.
Yeah, I think a
Yeah.
lot. And if you look at their performance last week, I think they would want to put that right. In some areas of the game, they were quite poor. La Rochelle certainly bossed them properly.
Yeah.
So they'll be smarting from that defeat. But you know what I mean? If Leinster decide to go with something resembling their best squad, then I don't see them losing. So I'm still going to go Leinster.
Yeah, and Leicester can still qualify. And it's interesting because they level on points with the Stormers in that pool as well, and La Rochelle's 4th and 7th. But the wild card here is Cell Sharks, so they're on 5. They can still qualify. Yeah, and we'll see later on when we
But it's a big but.
yeah, and
It's
but
a big but. Then they'll have to beat La Rochelle.
yeah, stranger things have happened, but not likely.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so we're picking a Leinster one there, even though they're away from home. Leicester.
Yeah, I'm going Leinster.
Yeah, I think to me it depends on the team that Leinster pick. I think the second stringers are within 5 points of Leicester, but I think a second string side might lose there at Welford Road. Racing 92 haven't been very good the entire season. I'm being rather polite here. And Cardiff, who've also haven't been rather good, at the bottom of Pool 2. One of them can still qualify technically. Unlikely, but if Ulster lose, one of them could sneak in the back door.
And you know, I mean, yeah, I'm going to go Racing 92. Home ground advantage. Cardiff have been abysmal at times this season, so it will take a supreme effort, I think, from them to suddenly turn things around in Paris.
Yeah. Another intriguing clash coming in Pool 3, Munster against Northampton Saints. Northampton Saints won 3 out
This
of
is probably
3.
the pick of the weekend.
Well, other than Loftus. Sorry, I think that's the game of the weekend, but okay, this is your pick of the weekend. Northampton have been pretty decent. They've won 3 out of 3. And Munster performed a brilliant Lazarus act to win in Toulon this weekend. So
Yeah, it is a very interesting matchup because Munster, they're not playing with the same grit and determination at home as they perhaps have in previous seasons, but they will still be a hard nut to crack at home. So, as much as the Saints will go there with great form and a lot of wind in their sails, if I can put it that way, it's an uncomfortable game. I mean, I'm going to actually go with Munster.
yeah, I think so as well. Northampton, though, I mean, again, tricky situation. You want to end up top, and they got 14 points. Another 5 would give them a home ground advantage, definitely for the next round. And I suppose that comes into account. But so there's something to play for. Again, then Saturday night, Stade Francais against the DHL Stormers. Stade Francais, I suppose the ad comes down to which Stade Francais are we going to see, because they've been abysmal in this competition. They've lost all 3 of their games. The Stormers need a win, and they're going to be going probably with their best squad up there. I would back the Stormers there. But again, it depends. Are Stade Francais actually serious about this game?
I would venture to say probably not. I think they will probably have their focus sharpened on the top 14. So for me, the Stormers, certainly if they take something that resembles their best 23, then I'm going to go Stormers.
And then the final game on Saturday night, Saracens Lyon. Saracens desperate to win. Lyon obviously want a great seeding. That's a great matchup. And I suppose the question there is how many wounds do Saracens still have to lick after their mauling last week? And yeah, can they bounce back from that? They are certainly a quality side, but as we mentioned before, there may be some problems there already. Lyon, I think, are purring pretty nicely as a team, and probably looking to score a good away victory there.
Yeah, for me, I don't think Saracens are going to have two poor weekends in a row. So I think they will bounce back this week. Whether they'll be good enough to beat them, I don't know. But I'll still give it to them at home by a few points. Not much in it.
And then the giant killers, Cell Sharks, facing Stade Rochelet, La Rochelle, on Sunday afternoon. I can't see them coming within 10 points of La Rochelle, especially if the La Rochelle pack does what the La Rochelle pack does. And we've had Guthrie Steenkamp on this podcast. When they got into form on Saturday night, they were almost unstoppable. I don't think there was a team on earth
That
that would have stopped them.
that was a performance of real intent. It was powerful. It was one that, yeah, and I tend to agree with you. I think it'll be very, very difficult to stop. So you in a way have to feel for Leicester Tigers last week. And as much as Sale Sharks are one of those teams, and they showed it in Cape Town, lots of resolve. They play with a lot of mongrel. They drag you into battles that you probably don't want to get involved in. I think La Rochelle is far too smart for that. I think they just their raw power and their ability to mix things up will be far too compelling. So for me, La Rochelle by at least double digits.
Yeah, I could see it maybe being competitive for half an hour, 40 minutes, and then La Rochelle putting away there. Again, then Sunday's other two games. The one also which could be the pick of the week. Toulouse against Bath, both have won 3 out of 3. I don't think Bath have got anywhere close to winning Toulouse, but there's a romantic in me that says maybe, yeah, they're playing with some form, but I still think Toulouse will probably run away with 10 points.
What romanticism are you talking about? Why is this the
I mean,
romantic in you has been awakened?
I think I like the fact that I mean, look, I'm there's no secret. I'm quite friendly with Jan van Kraan. He's a good man, and Thomas du Toit and those the South Africans in the team. And I think what they're doing there at Bath is quite exceptional. Where they've come from last season, right at the bottom, weren't in Europe, qualified for Europe. Now in the qualification, they've qualified for around the 16. They've done exceptionally well. They're third in the Premiership or fourth in the Premiership. So I think there's something of a resurgence there. There's always a romanticism in me that thinks that a team that's sort of on the way up, but you're going up. It's a David against Goliath situation, and I'm not quite sure they've got the stones to floor the Goliath and to lose.
No, probably not. I think though, either way, if win or lose, I think this is a good test for them to see where they at and how much they have progressed. So if it's one of those where they give Toulouse a good run for their money and stay in the game until the deep into the final quarter, then I think they would have done themselves proud. But yeah, in terms of the result, you can't look past Toulouse.
And then the final one, a rather difficult one as well. Bayonne with an outside chance of qualifying. They're on 3 points, fifth in Pool 3 against Exeter, who've already qualified. They've come back from behind 3 times to win in this competition. I'm not quite sure Bayonne have really what it takes to qualify, and I don't think they're going to trouble anybody if they do qualify. But I suppose the real question here is, does Exeter want a home game?
Yeah, I think also in the case of Bayonne, I think their focus might also just be in their domestic league. So overextending themselves against Exeter Chiefs might not, in the overall scheme of things, be their priority. So for me, the Chiefs.
We're going to quickly go through the Challenge Cup games quickly. There's a lot going on there. There's only 3 pools there, luckily. Less games, but 4 teams are going to drop down after this round from the Champions Cup. So we're going to have a quick look at those games. I'm not quite sure. There's a lot to play for a lot of teams, but there's some teams that are already qualified, and like the Lions have qualified already. But the Cheetahs and the Sharks still need to qualify. They're pretty close to qualifying. But yeah, let's go through the quick fixtures quickly. Starting on Friday, Scarlets Edinburgh. That's the opening one. I'm
going to be brief.
Yeah. You can be Liam as well if you want.
Okay, I'm going to be brief. I'll just give you I'll just give you in terms of scoreline what I think will happen. I think Edinburgh by 8.
Yeah, I also think Edinburgh will get that one quite easily, I must admit.
Gloucester Castres.
Nah, Gloucester have been pretty decent this whole season, so yeah, they've won all
Yeah.
three.
Yeah,
Seen them win
17,
them.
18 points for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the Saturday Black Line from Georgia against Clermont. Um, Black Line are great. They need to win. They're desperate. They're playing in Tbilisi, but I think Clermont are too street smart. Probably 10 points there.
Yeah. Clermont 9, 10 points. Yeah, you're right. Parma.
That's an interesting one. Both have got good chances to qualify. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. Third and fourth in the log, and they both really need to win because Dragons are just behind them. Although if the Dragons lose against Sharks, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'd say probably go with Poe just on the home ground advantage there, but probably very close.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Po by 4 for me. Oniak Cheetahs.
No, I think the Cheetahs should win. Onyak that doesn't look like they're really keen on this competition. They haven't really shown much. The Cheetahs will be desperate after losing last week. I'd see the Cheetahs, but probably a stuttering performance where they probably win by a few points, but win. Yeah. Benetton
Yeah, I think about
Montpellier, that's
6.
an interesting one.
Benetton Mont.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one.
It is. I think Benetton, again, just by sheer benefit of home ground advantage. So for me, Benetton by 5.
Yeah, and they've had a good season so far, Benetton. So Sunday, very quickly,
Yeah, they have.
Perpignan, Newcastle Falcons. Both teams haven't really decided to play this season. They've
Yes.
lost all their games. Who cares? Who wins? Am I being harsh?
Perpignan by 10. Perpignan by 10. That's all we need to say.
I'm being terrible here, and I'd say I don't really care either way. So then to the Emirates Lions, the wonderful world of Joburg,
Interesting, honest.
where they're playing the Ospreys. I think the Emirates Lions will be too good on their home ground for the Ospreys. 10 points there for the Emirates Lions, and I think they'll qualify quite easily. Well, they have qualified.
I'm thinking 14, if not more.
Yeah, it depends if Ospreys want to play. And then from the wonderful world of Hollywood bets, the Sharks playing the Dragons. Welsh teams are really haven't been great this season. Sharks, if they play anywhere close to their potential, I think they should win quite easily up there at Rodney Parade.
Yeah, yeah, I've got them for by about 12 points. They don't even have to be overly ambitious in this game, I don't think. So yeah, by 12, 14 points perhaps.
So with that, that should give us 5 teams in the next round, 3 in the Challenge Cup, 2 in the Champions Cup coming through there next week. But it's going to be an interesting weekend. So that's it from us. That's the our predictions. That's to the last drop this week, and hope you enjoyed listening to it. Join us again next week. Liam, enjoy your weekend's rugby.
Thank you. You too. Have fun at Loftus.
I will do. Cheers. We'll chat next week.
Thanks for listening, and a reminder, you can find all the To The Last Drop podcasts on the Brenden Nell YouTube channel, iono.fm, Spotify, Player.fm, Pocket Casts, Google Podcasts, and iTunes, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.